Shattered space is almost here. And listen, my life is obviously empty, but shattered space is filling me up to the brim. I am overflowing, in fact, with excitement and anticipation to not buy this game and watch someone else play it on YouTube and then talk about how bad it is. Because, my god, there is no world where this is a success. And we all know it, and if you don't, you're just coping real hard. Actually, you are coping so hard, someone's gonna turn you into a copium mine at this point.
Starfield Shattered Space expansion comes out in exactly 2 weeks, and to commemorate this, Bethesda themselves released a new deep dive video, highlighting exactly what you could expect from this expansion. This video is really interesting.
Nothing. You expect nothing. Unless you want to hurt yourself.
On the information side, a lot of it is stuff we've heard before, but on the visual side, we just saw a lot more Shattered Space than we ever have before. This is some of the first actual gameplay we get around Shattered Space, and we get a ton of it.
Wow, the zero gravity zones that they told that they're gonna be because people like them.
Several pieces of gameplay having secrets within that'll break down here, but also I could add on a ton of extra context for some of the major quotes shared during this video, because just a few days ago I did my own deep dive on Starfield. In the deep dive, we get a much clearer picture of how Starfield will begin. 2 weeks before we arrive, an experiment goes wrong on House Varun's homeworld of Vurun Kai. We don't know exactly what caused this, but from past interviews we've heard how it had something to do with grav drive technology. And during this deep dive, it's described how Shattered Space is about what happens when humanity's search for knowledge goes too far. Grav drives are what let you...
Oh man, such a unique storyline. Have you ever heard about humans digging too deep? Bethesda should copy mark this because this has never been done, ever. Especially incompetently.
Jump around in Starfield. So I think House Varun was experimenting with jumping even further and accidentally messed up their own planet. And this actually isn't the first time we've heard this story in Starfield. In this universe...
Yeah, sounds exactly as stupid as you think. House Varun experimenting with dangerous things that have unpredictable consequences on their fucking planet where spaceships are commodities that are traded for pennies. Very cool.
Earth is destroyed as a result of grav drive technology destroying the magnetosphere. But when it comes to Vurun Kai, several things are happening as...
If you're wondering about that storyline, makes no sense. Yeah, the Earth being destroyed by grav driver technology is stupid.
As a result of this failed experiment, vortexes have opened up all around. That is what these spheres of energy you see all over are. This has led to some general destruction on Vurun Kai. The planet overall is now in disarray. You can see things like destroyed buildings, and it is described how the people have retreated to the capital city of Dazra seeking help. We can see some characters actually giving out supplies, and it seems like this will likely be a part of our initial efforts on this planet. This new molten metal looking stuff can be seen all throughout this trailer. This seems to be one of the main causes of some of this destruction. And in the deep dive, we even get this new visual of what almost looks like a molten metal tree. I'm not entirely sure what that could be though. And these vortexes are going to be gamified. As we can see in this new...
It's gonna be nothing. I'm already gonna tell you the answer. Listen, I have secret Bethesda inside information. It's not gonna mean shit.
New gameplay. You can actually use vortexes as a giant anti-gravity bubble to get up to higher areas.
Wow. Wow, exhilarating gameplay. God, I don't want to see this in third person though, it looks so bad. It's not like you can jump with a junk pack high enough already anyway.
Scenes as well as panning shots of Vurun Kai, we can tell that this is going to be a location that has a lot more verticality. So in addition to just using your typical jetpack, it seems like these vortexes that defy gravity will help us get up to things and really change up the exploration here. The vortexes are representing holes in the space-time, and as a result, they're letting in totally new creatures. And this is...
So, So you're telling me these holes that are appearing everywhere, spewing out evil malignant beings of the nether that are gonna kill people, they're not guarded, they're nothing, people are completely just putting them aside, ignoring them, not making perimeters around them or anything. And you can move in them as if it's just anti-gravity and nothing happens? Sure, Bethesda, that makes so much sense. That is such a good story. It fucking sucks. It already sucks.
This is all only adding to the destruction. Vortex Horrors are these creepy new spider-like enemies you can see. This is going to be a melee-focused enemy that really tries to get up into your face, but they're also just going to jump scare you. During this new gameplay, it's described how Vortex Horrors will ambush you when you disturb the line between our world and theirs. Based off this gameplay,
that's so scary considering the thing spawns in, it doesn't see you, and then it takes a second to actually start doing things. Also, this is not jump scary at all. This is just bad. Listen, you have these caves and shit. You can do so much more with jump scares. Make the atmosphere, you know, you enter a cave, you see blood, and then you hear noises rattling. Maybe you see a shadow move in the distance. But no, this is Starfield, so there you go. Look.
And I really watched this closely. It seems like this is completely random. Like, yeah, they say disturbing the line between...
That's so... Yeah, this is Bethesda quality we're talking about here. It's retarded. Also, if someone doesn't tell me that this was made on a praying mantis, I will scream.
Our world and theirs, but it doesn't look like anything's actually happening here. It's not like there's a mine or some kind of proximity thing we're walking onto. I really think these Vortex Horrors will just be pure jump scares that will pop up on you with little to no warning.
It's not even a good jump
get subscribed if you want to see me get jump scared, because I'll probably be live streaming this DLC. From the Steam achievements for Shattered Space, we also hear about the Redeemed. I have a feeling this is going to end up being these new glowing enemies we could see periodically throughout the trailer. It actually seems like a variety.
Why are they glowing? Why is there shit sticking out of them? No reason. No. Probably doesn't matter.
Periodically throughout the trailer. It actually seems like a variety of enemies can glow in the gameplay, and considering this glow looks so visually similar to the vortexes, you have to imagine this is connected. Another point, we could also see all these pods seemingly meant to hold people. Perhaps whatever the failed House Vroon experiment was, it triggered something that made all of these people into some kind of new enemy type. Maybe that's what the Redeemed are. Definitely seems like there's layers and depth to this content. And to lean into the broader...
Yeah, I'm gonna call BS on that one. There's not gonna be layers of depth.
Horror themes of the DLC, Bethesda explains how combat distance is going to be greatly narrowed during Shattered Space. Enemies will have higher degrees of aggression, creating more chaotic encounters overall. And I mean, hey, some enemies can literally just spawn in front of you, so yeah, things are going to be pretty chaotic here. But even beyond these vortex-focused enemies, we have seen several other creatures on Vurun Kai. These will likely just be the natural inhabitants of this planet, having nothing to do with the new vortexes open up, and I think this is an important aspect to highlight. Shattered Space really has two...
So you have one mantis enemy that's smaller, and now you have this bigger mantis enemy that's bigger. Wow, that's so creative, Bethesda.
Components to it. On one hand, it's a world in...
Did you ask ChatGPT to make this? Because I have a feeling you did. This is also looks like something from honestly Fallout 76.
Disarray thanks to some kind of failed experiment and the results of that. But Bethesda also makes it clear that every location you discover and side quests you do will tell the story of the Vurun people and how they survived cut off from the settled systems on Vurun Kai. So while...
I'm sorry, those fuckers chose themselves to leave, to leave everyone else because of their backwards caveman religion, okay? There's not going to be any sense here.
Well, yeah, we're going to be dealing with some new threats. We'll also get an introduction into these people's culture and learn a lot more about them. But
what's there to learn? They're backwards retards. That's literally what all of them are. Andreja is an emotionally stunted fucking infant. If you choose to have romance with her, you're effectively committing assault on a minor because she's emotionally retarded. And that's her whole goddamn race of peoples, okay? Listen, there's nothing you can do with this slop. It's worse than Constellation in terms of depth.
But there's also going to be a major story element around these new vortex.
Also, these people are xenophobic, and that includes other people, okay? Technically, no, what are... Well, they're religious zealots. They have religious zealots. And those religious zealots shoot at you. You know what happens when you have some kind of completely backwards interaction like this in real life? Those religious zealots would not go into real space or the space where everyone else is and start just killing those people at random. No, the first place they actually go and do things is their own home base. they get rid of everyone who doesn't believe in what they believe. So how the hell does this make sense? How the hell are you not shot on sight when you enter this place, especially considering you're a fucking outsider? Don't know.
Texas, as the scaled citadel, that giant tower building you've seen in basically all of the trailers, is now trapped in a field of energy. This is the seat of government for House Faroon, so this is going to be their capital building, but they can no longer get inside of it. And even beyond that, Anasco Faroon is now...
I wonder, are they going to explain how the hell does that happen? Because that's not where the experiment is done, right? Because that's just the governmental building. It should be done somewhere else. So why is this a thing? Don't know. Neither will anyone else, probably, because the developers have not probably thought this far.
No longer get inside of it. And even beyond that, Anasco Varun is now missing. This was, or potentially is, the leader of the Varun people. He reportedly speaks to the Great Serpent, the House Varun deity, and due to his disappearance, minor houses are now vying for control of the faction overall. So as a result of all of the inhabitants of Varun Kai, this planet, fleeing to the main city, zealots, spacers, and even...
Are they gonna explain why his presence actually prevented the minor houses from killing each other like they should, obviously? No, probably not. He's just gonna be a rando dude you need to find or probably replace. Because again, there's this overarching idea of a plot that's made by a 5-year-old and then there's no substance to it added. It's great.
And the Crimson Fleet have now taken hold of some of the abandoned areas around the planet, and seemingly have established quite a presence on Varun Kai. So the main story of Shrouded Space will have this political intrigue component. Based off some past previews and descriptions, it's described how you'll be able to pick between the Varun Zealots, Spacers, or Crimson Fleet, and seemingly you could attempt to give one of them control of this city. And each of these major factions...
So, literally all just genocidal factions that make no sense. The Crimson... By the way, I talked about the Crimson Fleet. The Crimson Fleet makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. If you are if you're a group of pirates, you have your internal code, you know each other, you have your own system of governments, effectively, which they, by the way, do have, and you are so large that you cannot just be wiped out by any of the other factions, you're no longer pirates. Now you are an official faction with lands, territories, and you're no longer doing pirate shit because you are now an official government. The fact that the Crimson Fleet even exists makes no sense.
Will have their own goals and motives. During the deep dive, we hear how the Zealots want to continue the Serpent's Crusade, so if you side with them, they're going to demand lots of credits, firearms, and potentially the reinstatement of their house. And we can see them using a completely new armor here, and I think this looks pretty awesome. Separately, we've seen this other new
cyberpunk now
House Varun armor, but perhaps that's more for the faction overall, where this might be a Zealot-specific armor. We don't get backstories on the Spacers or Crimson Fleet, or know what they're after, but this does appear to be a new...
The Crimson Fleet, considering they're a bunch of autistic rejects, they're probably not after anything, and they're boring.
Crimson Fleet helmet, unless I'm mistaken. And over the course of Shattered Space's story, we will find out what happened here, interact with political...
I'm pretty sure the Spacers have no lore attached to them, right?
Feud of these minor houses, as well as decide the fate of House Faroon, which can have an impact on the rest of the settled systems. It seems likely that getting back into the Scaled Citadel will be a major objective during this main story, and even in the final shot of this deep dive, we can see that large cannon blasting the energy field around the Scaled Citadel. I don't really know exactly what's going on here, but it feels...
Why does this cannon exist in the first place? Is it like orbital defense? I don't know.
Like this will be a major story moment. I want to highlight all of that first because it establishes the world we're walking into. Pretty much all of what I just talked about happens before we even arrive.
What is the lore behind the cannon going to be like? Well, we can't penetrate that force field, so we made a cannon. Why aren't you shooting it? Oh, we don't have what powers it. Interesting. Your solution to a problem of not getting in there because there's a force field is to make a gun you can't fucking shoot. 100% that's gonna be the story. No other way.
arrive to start this DLC. We're getting to Varun Kai 2 weeks after the experiment went wrong, so things have been in disarray for a bit, and this makes it clear that Shattered Space really has two major components to it. The core House Varun culture itself and the story of these people, which we will be discovering, and I have to imagine side quests in particular will really flesh out.
I love that all of these people look completely exactly carbon copies of everyone else that you see in the game, so very unique.
Out who these people are, but these are also a people in crisis, and I believe the main quest will be us.
Oh no, wait. Is the distinguishing factor between these people is gonna be just shitty fucking tattoos? Is that it? Just bad looking tattoos. That's gonna be what makes House Varun distinguished. We have these tattoos. Very cool, House Varun. Why do you have these tattoos? We have these. There's probably not going to be even a reason. You know, one of the worst things you can is just trying to add tattoos or some kind of retarded clothing to a faction to make it unique. Because you can't... Stupid tattoos and clothing does not make a faction unique. It makes them hipsters, and no one likes hipsters.
So a people in crisis, and I believe the main quest will be us helping them resolve their ongoing disaster, as well as dealing with some of the political intrigue that has spawned as a result of it. As well as we did get a better...
Yo, Bethesda looked at Cyberpunk 2077, and it's the Liberty City DLC, and it was like, people really like this spy thriller shit. Let's copy it. Oh, kill me now.
Better look at how exactly we'll be kicking off our experience here.
My brother Qasim has been missing for days. I'm beginning to
add stupid names. Qasim, yes.
Worry that something terrible has happened to him.
Gee, you think, lady, your whole life has been turned around by crazy space portals that are summoning in interplanetary fucking horrors that eat people alive, and there's blood in every second building. You really think something bad happened to your brother? Wow, aren't you the brightest snowflake of them all?
This is likely how Shattered Space begins. You hear a distress signal from a now destroyed House Varun ship, so whatever's wreaking havoc on Varun Kai also seems to have wreaked havoc on this destroyed ship, but then via a newly formed wormhole we can successfully travel to their planet and system. But this new deep dive seems to reveal that we aren't just some spacer showing up to help, as in some of the voiceovers from the trailer we hear,
"You will rise as Varun.
And so you arise, one
Do you think they're gonna explain what the serpent is? Probably not.
of the
Or it's gonna be something that they try to summon through the portal and then you close the portal at the end. Maybe. Best case scenario.
promised of House Varun, Harbinger, Reverend.
Promised.
Ooh.
so you arise one of the promised of House Varun. That sounds important, like we are a chosen one. I imagine
That sounds stupid.
during this main story
We're already the chosen one because we touched a piece of rock that gave us visions, but everyone else who touched a piece of rock didn't get the visions, even though the lore explanation is the first person to touch the rock gets the visions. And considering those rocks have been there pretty much from the start of the universe, I think, it's kind of hard to imagine that you're the first one to touch that stupid rock. And every time you find the rock, you're the first one to touch it, even though the first rock that someone gives to you is literally touched by them and given to you. There you go. Very fun.
will be coming closer to this serpent religion and potentially unlocking some new abilities along the way. In a past interview, we heard how Shattered Space will have new tools and gadgets that will help players interact with the environment in deeper, more meaningful ways. Consistently, during some of these Shattered Space market
Probably locked behind skill trees.
we've seen these visions that almost look like just basically all of the colors are inverted and it gives us a specific view of things. And in the new deep dive, it almost appears like during this inversed view, more is visible around this artifact. It looks like you can see additional gravestones and details. Perhaps it's going to be some kind of new effect that we can trigger, and this is going to be one of the new environmental or exploration gadgets we can use. Overall, several of the visuals make me think there could be more overt religious elements during Shattered Space, and we're likely going to be some kind of chosen one. Whether that's true or not is likely what we uncover during the course of the story. Shattered Space is going to have far more handcrafted content than most other Starfield locations, and we hear how this is going to be a more secluded as well as heavily handcrafted location overall. Thankfully, you are free to leave at any point during the expansion, so you can go to and from the typical settled systems whenever you want to, but the story itself will never send you off planet, and this seems to be a quite concrete response to past criticisms of darting around too much in Starfield. So during this deep dive, Bethesda makes it abundantly clear, while you're playing Shattered Space, you will never have
I wonder if they're gonna disable fast travel on the planet.
to leave this area. I wouldn't be shocked if you just never even have to fast travel during this expansion if you don't want to, at least once you get into the guts of it. And Vurunkai itself, along with its weathers, are quite unique. Vurunkai will feature custom
Oh yeah, the red filter, that's really unique.
weathers and even a custom soundscape.
Yeah, the weather effects from Fallout 76, yeah, that's really unique.
And from the brief glimpses we get during this trailer, this all looks incredible. We also get a better idea of what Dazra itself will look like. This is a really sprawled out city, and it very much so looks like it was built into the terrain around it. It's much broader than some of the past areas in Starfield, and many individual
How do they even feed themselves? It doesn't look like there's a single spot of arid land.
locations look completely disconnected from the core city. And past
But it's fine, they have waterfalls.
interviews, it was described how almost all of Shattered Space will basically take place on one of these map tiles. So this will be a very large area, and I think from this trailer you could start to see how that'll work. Things will be fairly spread out, with a core city at its center, but seemingly many one-off locations all around it. And honestly,
Yeah, we already know about the locations. Anyway, that was Juicehead. Oh boy, Shattered Space, I can't wait for the boys, it's gonna be great. Bye-bye.